Good afternoon. This is really my pleasure to be here. First of all, as Japanese living a long time outside of Japan, coming back, particularly Kyoto, is a privilege. And also making a presentation on career development, one of the most important things of our life, in front of you, a promising student, Japanese student, is my privilege too. So I know my role. My role today is to help you to develop your career, particularly international career. And just let's move quickly to what I'm going to describe today. First, introduction, I will ask three questions, or I will answer three questions. First, what is career? And second, what is career development? And third, how do you develop that career? So those are key issues that you think about, and I'm thinking about my career too. So we should discuss together what the career is. And second and third, after briefing, a brief description of IAIS, my organization, international organization, I describe my career. How did I develop my 30-year career up to now? Which is sort of prelude to the key message to the fourth and fifth part. Fourth and fifth part of my presentation is the main message to you. What is needed to develop international career? And fifth, particularly if you want to be a leading role in the international organization or career development, what you have to acquire by yourself. So I try to be very practical and useful, and hopefully it will be helpful to your career development. So introduction, what is a career? This is a very, I think, important question, and I also thought about when I present when I prepare this presentation. So what is a career? A career, of course you have your own thought, but a career, in my view, is a job, and particularly your professional life. So based on what you are going to learn, or what you are learning now, you are going to enter a company, or you start your professional career after university. So career, in my view, is your job based on your expertise. And career, professional life, once you start working somewhere, in some place, you start usually early in the morning, late at night, time to time work weekends. So a large part of your life is related to your career. And it is often the case that if you choose a job and you are assigned to some place, you will live near to your office place. So that means that naturally career also relates to where you are going to live. So what I wanted to say here is career is an important part of your life, and one of the most important part of your life. So career is a important part of your life. Second question is, what is career development? So as I said, career is your professional life. So career development is a development of your professional life. And it's, in a sense, is a development of your life. And I try to think what's the best way to describe this career development. It's like a journey. When we make a trip, usually what we do is to find a destination where we are going to go. So this journey is the same. Career development is the same. First thing that we have to do is to identify where we want to go. And as a journey, when we plan the journey, first we identify first stop, where we are going to go, first spot. But also, when we plan a journey, what's the final destination? career development is the same. So not only identify a destination, first stop, but also final destination. I will develop this a little bit later. Third, who owns the career? Your career? Have you ever thought about that? I've never thought about before, or one experience that I have. I will explain later. Who owns the career? Who's your career? I just want to really stress that your career is your own thing, not anybody else, but your thing. You are the owner of the career. If you build your house, you buy a land, and you just employ carpenter or whatever to build the house. It's your house. Career is the same. Career is your own thing, nobody else. That's extremely important. And people sometimes think that career is developed by somebody else, like your institution or your future employer and so on, but it's not at all true. Career is your stuff, because your life. Career, large part of your career is your professional life, and it's much linked with your life. And your life should be decided by yourself. Career is the same. So I hope that this question is yes, are you interested in international career? Because what I'm going to describe today is my experience. Because I cannot describe anybody else's career, and my career is very much international career development. So I hope that you are interested in developing career in the international field. But if not, if you are not so much motivated in international career development, I still hope that my presentation is useful, because anyway, career development is most often the case. It's not only related to international issue, but your way of life. How do you live your life, professional life? And because of globalization, even when you choose to belong to a very domestic-oriented institution or whatever, it's very likely that sometime in your stage or future, you might face the international issues. So in short, I hope that my presentation is useful to everybody in this room. So now let's move to first part. So just second and third part is just a little bit myself. So International Association of Insurance Supervisors, what it is. This is the association that I belong to, and I lead this association as CEO or Secretary General. So I just want to briefly explain to this association, and then move to why I chose the international career development. But before that, just I stress that now, compared with 20 years ago, 30 years ago that I started my career, the world has changed. You are living in a very different world that I lived or when I was a student. Now, our community or society is much more global and much more interconnected. So, but still, particularly in my field, regulation and coordination in the governance stage, our government, for example, Japanese government, the role is to govern Japan, and the Japanese authorities, financial authorities or ministries and so on, their role is to serve Japanese people or people living in Japan, nobody else. So, but business, any sort of academia or whatever, now the world is very global. So there's a very big gap. The world is more and more global, but still government structure is very much oriented in the national domain. So in other words, we have to find some coordination between different nationalities or different national structure. In other words, coordination between different nations is extremely important. And I stress again, whatever job or whatever professional career you are going to choose, this international coordination will be a very important part of your life. So just briefly describe what I belong to, IAIS, International Association of Insurance Supervisors. Association of International Supervisors is an association composed of insurance regulators and insurance supervisors. It is extremely difficult to describe what we are doing, but to briefly put, supervisors is in case of Japan, Japanese Financial Services Agency is a member of my association. And all equivalent organizations around the world are members of our association, almost all, 190 jurisdictions. So it's a governmental or semi-governmental organizations, international organization, and key role of our association is to set international rules among supervisors around the world. Because, for example, each country have its own rules of the game for regulating insurance companies, but insurance companies are more and more global. So in order to cope with those companies' activities, we have to develop international rules. It's not only insurance, banking, securities, or any business is more or less the same situation. And my role is to coordinate international rules of the game of insurance. But at the same time, particularly my area is finance, and the financial world, insurance, banking, securities are much, much more interconnected. So we need some coordination activities in addition to the coordination between insurance regulators. And I will touch upon it later, but now globalization and also coordination between sectorial coordination is important. And 2008, you might remember or know that there is a huge financial crisis in particularly originated from the United States but spread around the world. And of course, Japan was affected. But this financial crisis also created momentum that we should coordinate much, much more closely, not only between supervisors in the same sector, but all financial sectors. And that's why we created so-called Financial Stability Board. This is composed of not only insurance regulators, but also banking regulator, security regulators, as well as central banks, ministries of finance, and international bodies like IMF, World Bank. So now IAIS, my association, work with those bodies under this Financial Stability Board and decide very important key issues for international financial issues. Tomorrow I describe a little bit more in a different session, but for example, how to regulate huge, too big to fail, the huge financial institutions who are extremely difficult to manage, and how do we regulate those entities is also we are discussing within this framework of Financial Stability Board. Just with some slides. Also, this is a member of Secretariat. So I'm head of this team, but we have 25 staff in the IAIS Secretariat. So these are members that all the time, full-time work for the association. But in addition of these 25 staff, each country, for example, Japan Financial Services Agency, at least 4 or 5 people full-time, almost full-time support for our activities. So globally speaking, in addition to the permanent staff, around 200 people constantly support IAIS activities. So in a sense, the role of myself and chairman of the IAIS is to coordinate and also work together with those 200 or more than 200 people and create international rules of the game.
He's talking about his counterparty, Kim Yu-jo.
Yes.
I don't know what he's saying.
Thank you. And my role specifically is not only manage those members of 25 and coordinate more than 200 people, but also represent association in international forum like Financial Stability Board or wherever, and also propose strategy of our association. Where we are, association is located in Basel in Switzerland, very small city, town, 200,000 people or 300,000 people, very charming, nice town. And we are hosted by Bank for International Settlement. This is Central Bank's international organization, so we are part of BIS. So I'm officially speaking employee of BIS. But to large extent, our association is independent because my mission is particularly focusing on financial stability and insurance issues. I asked my colleague to send some pictures. So this is a picture of a Singapore workshop a few years ago. So what we do is not only sort of discussing and coordinating and develop standards, but often the case to help our members to enhance their regulation. So we organize quite often seminars and to learn each other how to improve our insurance regulation and supervision. So this is a one shot of those seminars. And this is completely not sort of related to the work, but from the top of BIS. This is a sort of image of Basel, very charming town. So that's a Christmas time and beautiful town in Basel. So now let's move to the second part of this, my experience of international career. So I describe the journey, or my journey, 30 years journey on my career. And I hope this will be relevant or useful to reflect or refer for your career development in the future. Anyway, after this part, I will describe what is needed for career development, in my view, to help your more detailed sort of issue for your career development internationally. So what is my journey? How I reached to my journey. As Japanese, studied all my life until university in Japan, elementary, kindergarten, elementary, junior high, high school, university. I was always educated in Japan. But to some extent, I was motivated to work outside of Japan. But as I was introduced, I studied education, but at the same time, I learned, when I was in university, as you are now, I learned very intensively English and German, because I thought that I could use English in my professional career, and I thought that it was important. And it was extremely true. I will explain more later. But as a university student, I'm not at all sort of very serious student in academic sense. My key purpose was I was a key member of a tennis club, so I came to Kyoto and fight against Kyoto University students, and that was the most important priority in my particularly first 2 years. So anyway, I studied something. And I did a lot of exercise, and one area that I'm very much interested in is learning a language, English, because I wanted to have some career in the future in the international field. But I was not at all sort of a very serious student who learned very seriously and consider my career in the long run. And because of that, or I don't know why, but anyway, when I was grade 4, fourth year, so at that period, 30 years ago, it was different from your age, we should choose our sort of future career, or at least company that we are going to belong, is fourth grade. And I was at a loss what I should do, and I visited some companies, and I was attracted in an insurance company whose brochure described, international career development and business and so on. So I chose to enter that company, Tokyo Marine Fire. And after entering, I noticed that Tokyo Marine was very much domestic-oriented company. But just for their sake, you know, now it's different. Tokyo Marine is now much more international. But when I belonged to the Tokyo, decided to learn or start Tokyo Marine, I think more than 90% or much more than 90% business is from Japan, nothing outside of Japan. So anyway, I entered Tokyo Marine and started working at Saitama branch. It's a really domestic operation. I learned a few things in Saitama branch. I spent, by the way, 4 years in Saitama branch office. I learned, first of all, insurance. And it's extremely useful for my future career. I learned insurance from A to Z. And also I learned very important protocol of professional life. You know, how to greet, how to meet, you know, how to organize meeting, and so on. So it's very different what we do in a student life and what we should do in a professional life. So thanks to my experience in Saitama branch, I learned a lot, those very basic professional life protocol, as well as so-called expertise on insurance. But at that time, I never give up on my future career. I constantly studied English Saturdays, Sundays, because nothing related. My business is totally domestic, because I have never read in my Saitama office English document. So I constantly studied English. In one day, I'd like to be an international business. And after Tokyo Saitama branch office for 4 years, company assigned me to work for Ministry of Labor in Kasumi Gaseki. But again, the division that I work for is the division to develop domestic policy, so Japanese employment policy department. It's a very important department for Japanese administration and the Ministry of Labor. But again, it was very much domestic. I seldom read English paper, and there's no contact at all to foreigners or so on. But again, I learned a few things. First of all, how Japanese administration government functions. So that's also very important asset that I have now. And also I learned how Japanese law is developed, to how to coordinate parliament, how to negotiate or coordinate with the member of parliament, and how to persuade or discuss with other departments in the government and develop law. So that's extremely interesting, and also learned a lot for this 2-year experience. But again, it was very domestic. But again, I did not give up my international career development in later stage, and that was very important issue. And 2 encounters. In the end of my Ministry of Labor's assignment, just nearly the end of the 2 years, I was asked to do a business trip to Europe and United States. And that was the change. So that was extremely important for my professional career. Because there are 2 encounters. One is OECD, Organization for International Cooperation and Development. You might have heard this is an organization whose membership is composed of very developed countries, so they call this time to time Richmond Club. Of course, Japan is a member. And I went there as a sort of, a delegation from a member of delegation from Japanese Ministry of Labor to participate in a meeting in the OECD. And what was exciting, or what was eye-opening experience for me is the OECD meeting is exactly what I wanted to do for a long period of time. They discuss not only a country's domestic policy, but to negotiate, discuss, coordinate internationally the policy in the global scale. And also there is a discussion for different views and to create something not only its own country but also something good around the world. So this is the official part of coffee break, and I still remember coffee break lunchtime. We went up to the top floor of OECD building, and from there, OECD is located in Paris on the 16th around this one, very good residential area. And from top of that building, we can have an overview of Paris, very quiet residential area. And people working in the OECD took a coffee and discussed, and that, so exactly there is, I just encountered what I wanted to reach. So that one encounter that I've never forget, and I still think that it's very important encounter of my life. And there are two. So the other one is my future spouse. And that was also a little bit difficult to describe. It's a little bit personal issue, but as you have seen my career up to here, is I wanted to be more international, but I belong to very domestic business, and but I tried to do something more international, but I did not. But the lady that I met did achieve a lot in that respect. She graduated from US University. She developed her career internationally, so she was the person that she did whatever I wanted to achieve, but I did not. So I just met her and I saw her as a person that why this person could do it, what I wanted to do, but she did it. So that's also that to see that person is a really sort of shocking experience. And if that person can choose to be that career, why not myself? That's a sort of question. So there are two anyway shocking or very shocking experience at the end of this Ministry of Labor, and my career development has drastically changed afterwards. As you can see, until that time even in spite of my willingness, I was very domestic career. So what I decided to do is exactly from that period of time, I changed my mindset, career. What is career? And as I said at the beginning, career is owned by myself, your career is owned by yourself. Not Tokyo Marine or not whoever you are employed, your future employer. So I decided to move forward without any sort of help of my given employer or whoever. So, and of course, I was not able to immediately work outside of Japan. So what I decided to do is first I should develop some sort of base to work in outside of Japan. So I decided to study in a well-known MBA course in Europe, INSEAD. INSEAD is the best MBA school in Europe and one of the best in the world. So fortunately, I was accepted to INSEAD, and I studied to INSEAD just when I returned to the company, and just 1 year later, I was in Fontainebleau in INSEAD. So I studied INSEAD and took MBA. And after INSEAD, few years later, just after I finished my OECD career, I entered City University. It's also a very good university in London, but this is a tutoring basis because I have full-time work and I wanted to take PhD. So it's a tutoring system, means that I visit professor and professor give me advice, and my role is constantly continue study and to receive advice to develop my PhD thesis. So after 4 years of this tutoring education at City University, I took my PhD at City. This education is the huge asset for me not only what I have learned, but the biggest, but even more importantly, the asset getting this sort of academic qualification is confidence. Because, for example, INSEAD, or you might have experience learning abroad, or INSEAD, when I learned INSEAD, I was surrounded by very smart people with amazing qualifications. They have already took PhD or other masters, and some of them are brilliant. And after learning together with them, playing together, and so on, I'm confident that I can work with them and I can compete with them, and time to time I win. So not only learning together, but spend time together, and to do something together and achieve something together is extremely important. So it's not only a subject that you learn, but sort of colleague that you share is extremely important experience in my professional career, or beginning of my professional career. Consultant at the OECD. This is the first job. So after INSEAD, I took a role in a consultant job in the OECD. And I was there for 4 years. And again, this was very rewarding experience. As I explained, OECD was the place that I dreamed of. And that's 4 years living and working there is really rewarding experience. And what I learned at the OECD is first, how international organization works. Again, protocol is very different from Japanese administration, or very different from Japanese private company. So I learned how international organization works. And second, I learned very much insurance supervision. I knew of what insurance business it was, but I learned very much insurance regulation and supervision. And also, it was helpful later stage, I learned French, because OECD is, particularly my committee, insurance committee, is very much French dominating. Chairman was Belge, and she just started all the discussion in French. So I learned French thanks to the OECD. That was extremely helpful too. And lastly, OECD also provided me a network of people. So that's very important. As I said, in my experience of INSEAD, network of people, we learn each other, and you formulate yourself with people. So network of people is extremely important for career development. So anyway, OECD provided me a network of people, particularly insurance regulation and supervision. And after OECD 4 years, I moved to Poland, because Poland was a fascinating country, in particular when I worked in the OECD. Because Poland at that time we called economy in transition. So Poland at that time was transforming their economic system from former communist period to the free market system. And people extremely positive and huge opportunities. So OECD is a developed countries sort of club, salon, but Poland provided us with a new sort of culture, and I was so impressed. And genuinely, I wanted to work for Poland, to work with them. So I got a job as an advisor to the Polish Ministry of Finance, and it was sort of employed or paid by JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency. But my role is to provide advice to Polish government. So it was also a fascinating experience. What I learned is and during that period, I had time to draft my PhD and so on. So not only coordination from Polish point of view internationally, but also to have some real experience in economy in transition. And thanks to this Polish stay or life, I encountered two, I don't know. Just I encountered two important experience again. One is IAIS, that organization that I belong to. I accompanied with my Polish delegates and participated in IAIS. And I was very much impressed by the IAIS. Compared with OECD, IAIS, first of all, IAIS has a clear mandate, not only coordination, but set the rules of the game, international rules setting law. And second, level of participation is much higher than OECD, so all members who come to the IAIS is decision maker. And therefore, I was so impressed by the IAIS. And this is one important encounter. And second important encounter is the person who called Knut Hofeld. Knut is a very, how do you say, at that time he was a head of German authority, so the biggest insurance authority in Europe, as well as one of the world. But he was not at all sort of not dictator type of personality. He was extremely thoughtful and kind, and is very talkative, so it's a very good communicator. And Knut is also provide me advice in various ways. So he's to some extent my mentor and my role model of my life. And Knut was selected to be the first head of IAIS, so international the IAIS. And it was the beginning of 1998, and the deputy of Knut was posted as a vacancy. So I had no sort of hesitation to apply for deputy position, and I was selected as his deputy, Knut Hofeld deputy. So therefore, I moved to Basel and started working with Knut. So anyway, IAIS encounter with IAIS and the encounter with Knut Hofeld was again the big sort of a change of my life. So this is a very brief history of my professional career so far. And I just wanted to stress, I don't know why I love this work, because now, as living in Japan and in a comfortable environment, more or less, we do not realize, but now all is constantly changing. And now definitely we need more and more global solution, because challenge is global, particularly financial field that I'm facing. But still, for example, a few years ago, you might remember the Icelandic volcanoes broke out, and all airline transportation was stopped. And it was, in a sense, good it was stopped. After 1 week or so, these volcanoes, ash was stopped. But if it was not the case, it would be a huge disaster, not only Europe, but around the world, because personal transportation from Europe to other parts of the world has very much shut down. And the world economy did not work without people's move. Financial world is the same, and agriculture or whatever. Now we are really global, and we really need global solution. And it is really fascinating to not only serving to your own country, but serve around the world. So it's really important mission, and in addition, working in international environment, it's fascinating international friendship, as well as more sort of, the travels around the world. Just my last month, as an example, last month or this month, I organized 600 people conference, our annual conference in Washington, and then 2 meetings, keynote speech. So I stayed in DC, Washington for 10 days, and New York for 4 days, and I came back to Basel, just worked for a few days, and I moved to Berlin just before coming to Kyoto. So I just arrived from Berlin yesterday, and after a few days passing here, I will go to Seoul to organize a meeting with Korean and go back to Basel. After 1 or 2 weeks stay, I will move to Costa Rica for Latin American commissioners meeting 1 week, and then December I have an international coordination, important one in Hong Kong with other financial stability colleagues. So I constantly travel. I spent maybe half of my time, working time, or more than half of the time on the plane or outside of my house in Basel. But it's fascinating, you know, to see, for example, when I was in Berlin, doing a jogging I like jogging, doing the jogging in Tiergarten. It's a beautiful garden in the center of Berlin, and Washington is the same. So it's fascinating to have experience constantly see around the world and talk with people. So I really encourage you, you know, but of course it's completely up to you, but my journey is international journey, but why not? If you are interested in, you will get it. So I just want to encourage you to enjoy. It's completely up to you, but enjoy your more sort of international career, not necessarily limit yourself to the domestic career. So, assuming that you're interested in international career, just I'd like to move to what is needed. So, you know, of course, that's a bit different of your career development of domestic career. So what is important to have an international career? If I had to choose one message, this is the message that I want to deliver today. So career starts from your vision and dream without compromise. What does it mean? As I said, you know, career development is a journey, and it is you who decide your destination. It is nobody else, not your company that your future belong to, or your employer that your future belong to, but it is you. And in my case, it is me, you know, who own the career. But as I was, and I'm sure you are too, it's not so easy to identify your destination. Maybe some of you are lucky enough that you identify your destination now. But life is a journey, and journey will tell you what you want. But key message here is you constantly seek, you constantly look for what you want to achieve, and never compromise or never give up. That's extremely important. In my case, you know, when I started working at the branch office in Saitama, I enjoyed working in Saitama, but I always thought that it was not my career or my career development. So constantly you have to look for what you really want to achieve. And if you look for constantly, never stop, never give up, you will find it. I will assure you that you will find it. But not stop looking for it. That's a very important issue, and this is the most important issue for your career development. Again, my career development thought is very different from maybe others, but if you really want to have your own career internationally, I think this is very important thing. So constantly look for and never give up, not compromise your vision or your dream. Dream, I don't know if it's the right wording, but something that you really want to do, you know. So that's very important. And once you find it, you will find it if you constantly look for. If you don't give up, you will find it. And once you find it, just start. Just start working, you know, just start journey. That's very simple. This is much simpler than finding a dream or destination. But once you start your goal, it's much, much easier. some people said that it's a huge work, to do some preparation and so on, but it's not at all the case. If I were hungry, if you are hungry, and you know that the only restaurant that I can eat is 5 kilometers away, we walk and go to that restaurant. And during 5 kilometers, I don't feel this sort of, it's a challenging, it's just 5 kilometers away, there is a restaurant, and I can eat. I don't feel this is a hardship. Just do it, So I stress again, you have something that you really want to do, you will do it. So the question is, you find it or not. So this is most important message that I want to deliver. And of course, sometimes you are tired. So if you are tired, walk slowly. But sometimes you are in a good shape. So why don't you run? So that's you can continue this career journey at your own pace. But in order to do that, you have to find something that you really want to do. And I will assure you, this journey, this career development journey is stimulating or fascinating. You will enjoy enormously. First of all, you will enjoy finding a mentor. In my case, I could not fulfill, and you will find same. If you have a clear goal that you want to achieve, you understand yourself what you want to achieve, you will find a person that you really like to be. So mentor or role model or whatever. That's also very important because it's so-called visuality, or visualization. Just thinking about something is one thing, but to visualize is another. And to make it visualize, one of the best way is to meet such a person that you really want to be. And if you continue your journey with some sort of clear idea, you will surely find your mentor or role model. So that's very important. And also, I will assure you, one day you will reach your destination. I will assure you. But you should never give up. If you constantly walk or move toward your journey to the destination, it takes 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, I assure you, you will reach your destination. But, this is very important, but if you reach your destination, this is not the end. This is not the end. In my case, as I explained, OECD was the dream job that I looked for, and I got it. But when you reached at destination, you change yourself. You want to do something. You want to go farther. If you reach at top of the mountain, you can see somewhere else, other mountains around you. And naturally, yourself has changed, working in the top of the mountain, and you want to do something more. So my message to you is, after reaching the destination that you thought it was the dream, you should not stop your journey. You should look for other destinations that you should continuously go. And it never stops. I'm now 52, and I don't stop my journey until my death, I'm sure. So I just want to encourage you that career development is not a matter of 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. It's all your life. So you need to have a clear goal, or not goal, but your dream, what you really want to do. And once you reach it, you just, anyway, I don't have to explain, you will do that. But once you reach that dream, you try to find another dream. But this is, in my experience, very important step. And again, having a dream of what you really want to achieve is the key of the whole journey. Now let's move to a little bit more practical element, skills. What equipment do we need to do international journey? Domestic journey might be different, but international journey, what do we need? English. I cannot emphasize enough the importance of English, particularly for us, myself, and maybe many of you who are educated most of your time or all your life in Japan. English is I think, as a skill, the most important tool for equipment. And I can put very practical example. I'm now head of international organization, and when there is a vacancy in my organization, I receive 60 or more than 60 CVs, curriculum vitae, and I've never recruited anybody whose command of English is poor. That is a precondition, and it's not only me. Any international organization is the same. It's a very practical issue. So if we cannot demonstrate strong command of English, you cannot buy a ticket of international community. And you do not understand how you are privileged living in Japan as a Japanese. But this privilege is also a constraint, huge constraint. Privilege and constraint you do not maybe recognize strong enough, as I am. I'm out of Japan, living more than 30 years. You are very privileged because you can communicate. Your friends, your parents, anybody in Japanese. Nobody said that this is privilege, but it is extremely privileged because we are Japanese living in Japan. But world is not only Japan. This is really important. Because, you are privileged, but you are huge constraint. That's I really want to say, because of this privilege, you don't know. But outside of Japan is very different. For example, in one time, Europe is particularly a multi-language or multicultural environment. One day, a few years ago, I had a dinner with a few friends one is from France, the other one is from Spain, and the other one is from Luxembourg. And we had a dinner together. And first thing what we did is which language we can talk together. So we just, try some language, and we identify at the time French, I don't remember, so it's the best language that we can talk, and we have an enjoyable dinner. And this is, every day we have to face this kind of issue. But here, you talk everybody in Japanese, and without any problem, it's really privileged, but also huge constraint. And language is, in a sense, everything in a professional life, because communication is a precondition of any business. Morning meeting, we talk each other. During business, we exchange emails, and also we exchange by written format and whatever. So if we cannot communicate correctly, articulately, we are not regarded as professional. Language is sort of like a part of ourselves. If you speak poorly in Japanese or in English or whatever language, you are regarded as such. You are regarded as poor. So in Japan, you don't feel it. People speak correct English, wherever. But outside of Japan, this is a different world. If you speak articulately, correctly, you are respected and you are heard. So if I could in the vision issue is, I hope that you are clear. You need to have a clear vision. But skill side, I cannot overemphasize the importance of language. So I know that you are interested in learning language, English, but you should learn more. You should learn more. You should learn every day. I don't know how long you learn, but not only length, but intensity. You should learn more and more. Because now, your same generation people outside of Japan are constantly learning the subject that you learn in English. And once you graduate from university, you are working or competing with those people. So you have to learn English, or you have to learn, for example, your subject in English. If there is an English, original text author is English, you have to read those texts in English. You have to communicate, and there's plenty of opportunities here, or the tools like website, YouTube, whatever, you can easily learn if you want. So I really encourage, or you request, if I could, request you, as you assume that you want to have international career, I really request you to learn English very intensively. I remember I took TOEIC test, when I was in the branch office. I remember it was good score, 940 or something, but it was, I think, good score. But it does not make anything if you really work in the international environment. I had a huge challenge, not only, for example, business school, but to OECD and IAIS and so on. Good English students in Japan is a very base for international career development. So never stop learning and learn intensively English. That is very important message that I want to communicate. The most certainly important message under the skills. Second, communication. This is also linked with the language issue, but more than language. As you meet many people, and some people it's so easy to talk, but others, who is very smart, but not easy to talk. So there is a protocol, and you can learn. This is, I think, much easier than learning language itself. How do you talk, or how do you exchange ideas? Listen well others, understand what others said, and to say something to others. That's a sort of to exchange of views. And that sounds simple, but not at all simple. And therefore, like presentation or to communication is extremely important. And there is some courses, so you should take those courses or to learn how to communicate. And I will tell you, like head of international bodies, high officials, head of international big companies that I meet often, all of them are very, very good communicators. I don't know their intellectual level. Maybe their intellectual level is good, but I'm sure that their communication skill is excellent. So once they meet, they have a big smile, and they're very talkative, and exchange views, and then, when I talk something to them, they understand what I said and reply. And their message is very clear. They don't use very complicated words, and their message is totally clear. Communication is not only oral communication, but also written communication. I don't know how do you learn in writing report, but now, as you can see, tons of information, and you have to digest. And sometimes it's impossible to digest. But what you should do is to very concise, clear message to deliver. That's also very important issue for communication. Written communication, that's oral communication. So anyway, communication, in addition to language, English is extremely important. Maybe not only, I'm sure that it's not only international career development, but whatever career development is very important. Expertise. I don't have to stress this one. You are going to pursue your professional career, and you need something to demonstrate to your future employer that you are strong enough, that you are paid. This is expertise. So I know that you have major, so study hard, and to have strong expertise. This is what you can prove yourself and you can sell. So expertise is extremely important. Team spirit, personality. Again, when I do recruitment, I have 3 conditions, preconditions, without which I don't recruit. And I'm sure this is not only my recruitment condition, but many other people, recruitment office is the same. First, as I said, English. Second, expertise. And third, this team spirit. People who are extremely well written, or strong command of English, who are extremely high, expertise, but sometimes people are problem working in a team. I don't employ that person, even though they are such a high experts and high command of English or whatever. Because any environment, we work with people, we work together. If there is a guy who is sitting over there and they don't talk with you, even though that guy is extremely smart, how I can manage that person, And even though he's a genius, but we have to develop something together, it's extremely difficult or disturbing to not only myself, but all others. So this working in a team, how do you create something together? And that's, in principle, Japanese ourselves are very good at working in a team. But anyway, it's extremely important to work in a team and to coordinate together with others. Last thing, but it's also important, is family understanding. What does it mean? I'm sure that in the future, or I'm pretty sure that you get married and you have a sort of international career development. Naturally, you will accompany your future spouse to those countries. And if that person does not support you, maybe a few years it's okay, it works. But if you continue pursuing international career, it's not so easy to pursue. So it's a more practical sense than skills. But but I don't know, it's advice. But when you share your sort of future life or discuss your future life with your future spouse, at least it's better to ask questions. Are you interested in moving abroad or working in international environment and so on? So family understanding, in a practical sense, it's important to pursue our international career. But it's very much a personal issue, so I don't stress too much here. So let's move to, how much time do we have? 20 minutes.
Actually, at 6 o'clock, we end in 20 minutes.
Okay, so just, okay, I see. So let's move to the last part. So assuming that you pursue your international career, you belong to international organization or international sort of, a non-Japanese or company, multinational organization, and you want to be a leading position or important position, what is needed? So first, in different from Japanese organization, any, I think, multicultural, basically multinational organization or international organization, there is a vacancy, and we apply, whoever applied for that vacancy. So in order to be a successful candidate, first you have to be regarded as a sort of credible candidate. What does it mean? That means that to some extent academic qualification, but more importantly, you belong to the circle that this post is advertised. So international organization is very simple. Christian Lagarde is currently IMF head. You might know that one of the strongest international organization. And she was a minister of finance in France. And IMF is a body of ministry and central bank. So naturally, she is a credible candidate because she led French ministry as a leader. So that sort of credibility is very important. So nobody, who had never worked in that kind of environment could not take that post. So to be a successful candidate, you have to be a credible candidate in terms of your experience, in terms of current position, and also circle that you belong to. So therefore, to be a credible candidate, usually international organization, this case, either government, in particular like us, government organization, or international, from the beginning, international organization, and step up. There are two career paths to pursue. But anyway, to be a credible candidate, it's very important to be a circle in the circle and to demonstrate that you are good enough to take that post. Just I mentioned inner circle. So inner circle, just stress again, this is a group of people who communicate constantly on the subject. So it's like sort of in the university there is a tennis club or whatever club. So you communicate each other with the same common objective. So if you belong to that common group, that is the first step to be promoted. And this is very practical advice, but very important one. So usually international organization, I think any multinational organization is the same. There is a department or committee who makes a decision who will be the successful candidate. So first question first issue that you should understand is who are the decision makers? So who decide you will be chosen or not? And that's very important because if you understand, first of all, you can objectively assess yourself, this person will support me or this person not, and this person support me, but this person might have concern. So second step, which usually do in the international circle, is before starting official process of recruitment, talk with those people, not so much aggressively, but just dialogue, What do you think of me, and what's the weakness, strengths, and so on? Talk with that person. So understand the process is extremely important. And naturally, usually, those committee will make a decision, hopefully consensus, if not voting. So let's say there's 5 members, and they have to choose one candidate out of 3. So there are 5 members discuss together and identify a person to be a successful candidate. And often the case they don't agree, So what very practical things, what we should do is to get majority of support, right? Because and usually those committee, particularly international organizations case, geographically balanced. Again, one very practical sense, we should have a close, link with our national delegation or body, so because they support you. But anyway, in addition, you need to get support from other persons or other nationalities. And that's getting majority is very important through dialogue or so on. And one thing a bit different is not only getting majority, but find a person or persons who support you very strongly. You should not depend too much on your nationality, in our case Japanese, but also others. Because as you can see, you can imagine 5 people discuss together, and one person never ever compromise, that you are the best candidate. 4 others are extremely difficult position, even they have a different view. And gradually, dynamics of selection will be changed. So anyway, not getting majority support, but strong support from a person or person is very important to get support in that sense. This message is also very important. Opponent can be the best support. What does it mean? Let's say there are 2 candidates, yourself and your opponent. Opponent is the best supporter of you. It's very, paradoxical, right? But it's true. Why? opponent constantly point out your weakness, and opponent constantly challenge you any sort of fault that you have made in the past. They never appreciate your strengths. That's the assumption of opponent. Some of you might have seen presidential debate in the United States. Typical the case. Romney and Obama debate each other. They constantly point out the other's weakness and demonstrate their strengths. But this is the mechanism, very important mechanism, that make you strong, make incredible candidates. Because, first of all, they point out your weaknesses. And you have to demonstrate, if it is true, you have to demonstrate in the future, I will not do the same mistake. Strong commitment, and you commit not only commitment, but do something you do in the future, make you stronger. Opponent never point out your strengths. Then you think carefully what your strength is, which is yourself sometimes do not understand, but others, yes. So you analyze yourself extremely carefully, and not only analyze yourself, but speak out, this is my strength, this is the reason that I lead this position. So this is also very important process to understand yourself and also to reflect yourself why you are the best person. And all this process is extremely challenging, but extremely rewarding. And most important issue in this process is, again, confidence. Confidence that you are the best. You yourself have to be persuaded you are the best. If not, you will not win the game. Or if not, you will not the best person to win the game, because you yourself do not persuade yourself. So this whole process is, in a sense, to challenge yourself, that you demonstrate yourself you are the best within yourself and outside of yourself. And this is extremely rewarding. So I would really encourage you, if you reach some position in international or multinational organization, challenge it, just to try to get it. Even if you lose it, it's not a lose. Journey will continue, and you can challenge again and again. But if you do not challenge, you never get this reward. You cannot get never such an experience that you demonstrate your strengths, you try to address your weakness, and you move forward. So I really encourage you to if once you belong to a certain group and you want to get some post, you challenge it. But anyway, you persuade yourself, and you feel that you are confident or to get that post. It's extremely important to convince yourself. So skills. So what kind of skills? Just very briefly, because of shortage of time. So to be the leading position of international multinational organization. So it's the same as career development. If you become that position, how do you want to lead? And naturally, once you get that position, the most important attributes is vision. How or what you want to do. How do you want to lead that department, organization? Direction, vision is very important, and naturally it has to be based on insight, some clear insight. And if you want to achieve a big thing, you need people who support you. So in order to do that, you need good colleagues, members, so that relate to recruitment, and also how do we structure. If there is 3 things that you want to achieve, you need 3 groups in principle to organize, and recruitment should be divided in 3 areas of people. So structure, so once you have a clear vision, you need people and structure. Communication. Assuming that you have a vision, you have to communicate. You have to tell them and make them share your view, understand that you or that person is is following your advice. So communication is extremely important. Let's say, if you want to achieve the best, international rule, but you cannot do it alone, so you have to talk with others, and you have to share your view with others, and ask them to, for example, to draft law or draft regulation, and others, ask them to communicate with others, other countries, and all those issues, you have to talk each other and make other person understand your view. So communication is extremely important. Network of contacts. That means that not only group that you belong to, there is let's say if it is a circle, there is a core people that you work together, but around the core people there are plenty of people who support you or who do not support you or who are not interested at all you. But what you have to do is to create these core people and extend these people who are interested in more and more. So just also it's in a sense communication issue, but the network to just extend the people who support you widely through public communication, through discussion in the conference or whatever. So network of contacts and communication is very important. Positive thinking is a sort of different aspect. It's not a sort of external issue, but more internal issue. As I said, if you are a candidate, your opponent constantly challenge you, your weakness. Sometimes you're amazed, how aggressive your opponent is. But as I said, if you are not confident enough, you cannot compete and you cannot fight. Any sport is the same. You have to be strong. You have to be internally strong. You have to convince yourself you are the best. Even you are almost losing the game, you should not give up that you will lose. So this positive thinking, never give up, is very important, and it's not only the selection process, but whole your days of life, professional life, particularly important position, you are constantly challenged. You are constantly challenged, your decision is not correct, your attitude is not right, but in the end, you have to convince yourself that I'm the best, and if I'm not the best, I will be the best tomorrow. So this confidence is extremely important to be whatever career development that you want to pursue. The last message on this presentation is learning. So you are learning hard now, but you will learn hard once the beginning of your career. But even you are head or leading position in any organization, you never stop learning. You never stop learning. One example, again, I saw presidential debate, Rodney and Obama. First session, Obama. I'm a sort of not favorite Obama, but anyway, first Obama's performance was not good. He was less confident, and the second debate, he was much, much better. Do you know why? He did very intensive learning, learning practice. What he delivered at the first message, first round, is more or less the same. But his attitude, his aggressiveness, his preparedness in the second debate is totally different. Why? Even President of the United States, he did, I heard, 3 days intensive preparation for the debate. Why? If President does that, why not ourselves? You have to constantly learn and prepare well for your challenge. So just brief summary of my presentation. So I really hope that you will enjoy your journey after university, and I assure you that it will be a fantastic journey. But in order to enjoy your journey, as I said, you have to identify your destination and not compromise. And it's only your own destination is different from others. So you have to identify, and even you start working, try to find the destination that you are totally convinced. And once convinced, you start moving towards the destination. Never give up, never compromise, walk ahead. And if you pursue international career, English is the base. As I said, if you are a poor English speaker, I don't recruit you or nobody recruit you. And around the world, many people at this time, even at this time, they are learning in English, their own subject. Learning in English is base, fundamental for pursuing international career. And if you want to be a top, confident yourself, you are the best. And you will be the best. But you have to convince yourself. And that would be the best message, best way to be